back to Scott's Weekly Sports Today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back with my dad today, and we are ready to do our Week 3 college football predictions and our Week 2 of NFL predictions. So let's get into those right now. First game out, 3:30 tomorrow afternoon on ABC. Number 14 ranked UCF will be moving down next week once the Big Ten brings in all their teams. As we take on Georgia Tech in Atlanta. UCF minus 7.5 going into the week. I will take UCF to win the game, and I do not think we'll cover this spread here. I'll take UCF to win outright, but Georgia Tech wins in the spread.
I'll tell you, Georgia Tech really opened some eyes last week going on the road to Tallahassee to beat Florida State. I understand this is not the same Florida State program we've had in the past, but Georgia Tech looked pretty impressive defensively against Florida State. UCF's going to have their hands full, but I do agree with Scott. They're going to win, but I don't think they'll cover either. They're going to win by maybe a field goal or 5 points.
I think it'll be a touchdown, so just under for me.
Okay.
Next up, Oklahoma State and Tulsa. 23.5 for Oklahoma State. I will take that and the over in this game. And the spread, I think Oklahoma State will cover. So give me Oklahoma State minus the 23.5 this week.
A lot of times I pick my games based on the quality of the coach's hair. Mike Van Gundy just flat out has quality, thick, lustrous hair. So Oklahoma State Cowboys in this game.
Next up, Austin Peay and Cincinnati. No line for this game because it's probably too big to put him on one screen. I'll take Cincinnati to get the winner over Austin Peay.
I didn't even know Austin Peay had a football team, so I'm going to take Cincinnati as well.
Next up, Louisiana coming off a big upset last week over, I believe that was over Iowa State last week, as they play against Georgia State this week, minus 15. I will take Louisiana to keep it going. They got a big win last week at Iowa State. I think they'll keep it going. Give me Louisiana minus the 15 this week against Georgia State.
What a great story for the state of Louisiana, given the hurricane problems they've had of recent. So I hope Louisiana wins. I think they will. Give me Louisiana.
Next up, Syracuse and Pitt. Syracuse minus 21.5. Way too big. I'll take Pitt to win the game, but I think Syracuse will keep it closer than 21. So I will take Pitt to win the game, but Syracuse to win in the spread.
I agree. I think Pitt's going to win the game, but I do think Syracuse is going to cover as well.
Next up, the Cows go into Notre Dame Stadium to take on Notre Dame, minus 24.5. I will enjoy watching every single second of this game tomorrow. Just to watch USF get humiliated tomorrow. I will take Notre Dame to win this game and the points. I will take Notre Dame to win this one by more than 24 tomorrow.
Notre Dame did not look very good against Duke, but they're obviously good enough to beat South Florida. So Notre Dame for me.
Next up, App State and Marshall. App State minus 4.5. I will take App State and the 4.5. I think App State's a much better team than Marshall, so I'll take App State to get the win over Marshall.
A little surprised the line is only 4.5. App State's got a pretty good program. They've been consistently good year after year. Appalachian State for me as well.
Next up, the Citadel and Clemson. Give me Clemson to get a big win again after a blowout win last week against Wake Forest. I think they get another blowout win this week against the Citadel, so I'll take Clemson big this week.
I agree. Clemson's going to roll the Citadel. No problems at all.
Next up, the College Game Day game of the week. College Game Day will be there tomorrow morning, as there'll be number 17 Miami going against number 16 Louisville. Big game to end your Saturday. Louisville minus 2.5. Tough pick here, but I believe in Manny Diaz, so I'll take the Canes to get a win. I think the Handy Mannies will start 2-0 this year and get a win over Louisville on Saturday.
Over the last few seasons, Miami has started out pretty well. They've won against weaker opponents, but when they go up against a pretty good team, they typically lose big games. So I'm going to take Louisville in this game to continue that trend.
Next up, into the NFL games for the weekend. First game out, Tampa and Carolina, 1 o'clock on Fox on Sunday. Tom Brady looking for a bounce back after that tough game last week against the Saints. Carolina also coming off a loss to the Raiders last week. Give me the Bucs to rebound, minus 8.5. I think that's a little too much. I'm going to take Tampa Bay to win the game, but I think Carolina just barely squeaks under I'm looking at a backdoor cover this week for Carolina, so I'll take the Bucks to get the win, but Carolina will cover.
I'm agreeing a lot with Scott tonight. That's because Scott's a pretty smart picker. But the Bucks, I think they're a good team, but they showed a lot of weaknesses against New Orleans, especially along the offensive line. I don't think Carolina's very good either. But I agree. I think the Bucks are going to get the win, but it's not going to be convincing. I think it'll be by, let's say, a touchdown.
I think it'll be by 8, so just under. Next up, Giants and Bears. Two teams looked pretty good last week. I think the Giants played okay against the Steelers on Monday night, and the Bears coming off a miraculous fourth-quarter comeback last week against the Lions. Give me fourth quarter Mitch and the Chicago Bears to get another win here at home. I think the Bears will get it done at home against the Giants.
I agree. I don't think either team is particularly good, but I think the fact that the Bears are at home, I think that they will beat the Giants.
Next up, a battle of 2 0-1s. I'm happy to see both of these teams at 0-1. It'll be the Atlanta Falcons heading into Dallas to take on the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys will rebound after that game that they should have won last week against the Rams. I'll take the Cowboys to get a win at home, rebound and bounce back against the Falcons.
I agree. I don't think Atlanta's defense is very good. Obviously, Seattle exposed them last week. So I think Dallas will definitely get the win here.
Next up, Detroit and Green Bay, two teams coming off different weeks. I will take Aaron Rodgers to stay hot after that impressive performance last week against the Vikings. I think he keeps it going. Give me the Packers at home at Lambeau to get a win over Stafford and the Lions.
Man, everyone wrote off Aaron Rodgers way too soon. In fact, in most fantasy leagues, he's picked maybe as the 6th or 7th quarterback, Scott.
Yeah, something like that.
And he just lit it up last week. So I agree. I like the Packers here.
Next up, Jags and Titans, two teams that 1-0 coming into the weekend. Minshew Mania looked really good last week against the Colts, and the Titans just barely escaped with a win last week on Monday night against the Broncos. So I'll take the Titans to get it done at home. Derrick Henry will play better this week. I think Tannehill will play better. Just get that kicking game figured out, and I think the Titans will be just fine this week. Give me the Titans to get a home win against the Jags.
I agree. This game's in Tennessee. I think Tennessee will play better at home than they played on the road at Mile High. It's a tough stadium to play at. So give me the Tennessee Titans.
Next up, the Vikings and the Colts. Big game here. I will take the Vikings to rebound. That defense didn't look good last week, but I think it'll look better this week. That's a young secondary, so I think they'll get better and better every week. I'll take the Vikings to get a win on the road in Indy against the Colts.
I was leaning towards the Vikings earlier in the week, but as I thought more about this game, I think Indianapolis is going to get this game at home. I think Minnesota was overrated coming into the season, and I think Indy's going to win in a very close game at home against Minnesota.
Next up, the Bills and the Dolphins in Miami. 90 degrees on Sunday for kickoff. I'll go with Josh Allen and the Bills to keep it hot. They looked great last week against the Jets. And I think they'll look even better this week against a Dolphins team that I don't have a lot of faith in right now. So I'll take the Bills to get a win in Miami against the Dolphins.
I think an argument could be made that the Bills are one of the top 5 teams in the NFL right now. They're looking good on both sides of the ball. Bills should win big against the Dolphins.
Next up, Niners and Jets, 2-0-1 teams coming in. Give me the Niners to bounce back, even without George Kittle this week. I think they rebound. Jimmy G is going to rebound this week. He looked a little bit rusty last week against the Cardinals, but I think he rebounds this week against a very bad Jets team. So give me the Niners on the road against the Jets.
The Jets looked just awful last week. They did come back towards the end, but generally they looked terrible. 49ers didn't look much better, but I think the 49ers are a better overall team. 49ers get the win.
Next up, the Rams and the Eagles. Two teams that didn't do it as I expected them to do last week. Give me the Eagles to look much better this week. I got the Eagles getting a home upset over the Rams.
This is another one early in the week where I was leaning towards the Eagles because I think the Rams are going to have a letdown after beating the Cowboys, but this is the NFL. I don't think teams let down as much as they do in college. I think the Rams are going to get a very close win on the road against the Eagles.
Next up, Denver and Pittsburgh at Heinz Field. If this game was in Denver, I would have taken the Broncos. But because it's at home, I'll take Big Ben and the Steelers to stay hot. Big Ben looked good on Monday night. That defense is looking as lethal as it did last year. Give me the Steelers to get a very close, low-scoring win against the Broncos.
For my man Terry Jewell, and also because I believe in the Steelers, I think the Steelers are going to get a win. I don't think it's going to be that close, though. I think the Steelers are going to win by at least 10. They'll get a couple turnovers and blow this game wide open.
Next up, two teams I didn't expect to be 1-0 at this point, is they'll be the Washington football team going into State Farm Stadium in Glendale to take on Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Give me the Cardinals to get a win here at home against the Washington football team. I think Haskins looked okay last week. Didn't look great, but he did enough to get the win last week. I'll take Kyler Murray and the Cardinals to get a win at home on Sunday.
I agree. I think the Redskins obviously did pretty well relative to expectations, but I like Arizona to get the win here against the Washington football team.
Next up, Chiefs and
if I said Redskins, my apologies.
Chiefs and Chargers at on CBS 4:25 Eastern at SoFi Stadium. The home opener for the Chargers. Give me Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to get it done on the road against the Chargers on Sunday. Give me Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to get a win on Sunday against the Chargers.
I agree, and the truth is, it's hard for me to see any team that I'm going to favor over the Chiefs right now, the way they're playing, unless something material changes, like they get a major injury, like Mahomes. But right now, I think the Chiefs are the class of the NFL.
Next up, the Ravens and the Texans in Houston. Give me Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to look good again this week. They looked good last week against the Browns team, but didn't look very good until last night. I'll take the Ravens to get a win on the road in Houston against a very bad Texans team.
I think the Texans are actually better than people give them credit for. I just think they played a tough Chiefs team in Week 1. But with that said, I think the Ravens will get the win on the road. But I think the Texans are going to keep it closer than most people think.
Next up, Patriots and Seahawks, Sunday Night Football. Give me Russell Wilson and the Seahawks to get it done. They have more team chemistry coming into the week than New England does. So I'll take Russell Wilson and the Seahawks to get it done at home against the Patriots.
I agree. I think this is really a matter of Seattle having a much better quarterback than New England. I think Wilson is a lot better quarterback than Cam Newton. And I think the Seahawks being at home, they're going to get the win.
Next up, Monday Night Football. The New Orleans Saints coming off a big win last week against my Bucks, and then they head in to Las Vegas to take on the Las Vegas Raiders in their home opener. I think this game's going to be closer than people think, but I am going to take the Saints to get a win here. I think it's going to be close, though. I think without Michael Thomas potentially this week, I think that's going to be tough. But I think the Saints will squeak out a win in Las Vegas against the Raiders.
Over the last 4 to 5 seasons, the Saints have been pretty consistent where they're almost unbeatable at home, but on the road they are beatable. With that said, I think Las Vegas is not quite up to the challenge. I think the Saints do get a win, but it'll be close on the road.
That will do it for this episode of Scott's Week Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back next week with my predictions for again. Oh, and one more prediction for the show. The Stanley Cup Finals start tomorrow. Lightning and Dallas Stars. So me and my dog will now be predicting who we think will win the Stanley Cup and who gets the MVP this year for the Stanley Cup Finals. I will go first. I will take the Tampa Bay Lightning in 7 games against the Dallas Stars. Dallas has been an unbelievable team all through the playoffs. I haven't picked them to win one of their series, and they've surprised me every single round. I will go with the Lightning to get it done in 7 games. But the MVP for the Lightning in the Stanley Cup, I think they usually give it to a guy that's been with the team for a long time. So I don't think it's going to be Braden Point this time. I will give it to Victor Hedman. This kid has been playing fantastic the entire playoffs. He did cost us the Stanley Cup back in 2015, but I don't think he's going to do it this time. Victor Hedman is your MVP for this Stanley Cup Finals.
So I agree with Scott that the Lightning are going to get the win. I think they're going to do it in 6 instead of 7. I think it'll be a hard-fought series that'll be, like 1-goal games all the way through.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's very interesting. We're playing our former goalie, Ben Bishop. That's an interesting storyline. And I also agree with Scott that Victor Hedman is going to be the MVP. He's played the best hockey, I think, for the Lightning so far, and I think he'll continue to do that against the Stars.
Cooch.
But if Stamkos plays, I think they'll give it to him. If Steven Stamkos plays, I think they'll give it to him. But that'll do it for this episode of Scott's Weekly Sports. I'll see you guys right back here next week on Scott's Weekly Sports. See you later, guys.
See you guys.